Hello everyone, and welcome to my CBS GH spoiler channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Sidwell's shocking threat leaves Willow terrified after she unknowingly sits in Drew's power chair. Spoiler: Monday's March 2nd episode of General Hospital delivered one of the most electrifying hours of daytime drama in recent memory, and fans are absolutely losing their minds online. If you thought last week's episodes were intense, buckle up, because the moment Willow Tate Corinthos lowered herself into Drew Quartermain's executive chair at Aurora Media, the entire story shifted on its axis in ways nobody could have predicted. The episode opened with a deceptively calm Port Charles morning. Willow arrived at Aurora headquarters carrying a folder of charity benefit paperwork, documents tied to her pediatric oncology wing fundraiser that she needed Drew to co-sign. But Drew was nowhere to be found. His assistant, flustered and apologetic, explained he'd stepped out for an emergency board call and begged Willow to wait. Exhausted from a long night at the hospital and slightly lightheaded, Willow smiled politely, dropped into the nearest available chair, Drew's enormous leather executive throne at the head of the conference table, and began scrolling through her phone. What happened next sent a chill through every viewer's living room. The conference room doors swung open, and in walked Brennan Sidwell, cool, impeccably dressed, with that signature smirk that practically drips menace. He was clearly expecting an empty room. Instead, he found Willow, seated precisely where Drew commands power, her dark eyes looking up at him with polite confusion. For a single suspended second, Sidwell froze. What followed was a masterclass in psychological warfare. Sidwell didn't shout, he didn't threaten with a gun or a fist. He used something far more devastating: words. He circled the table slowly, each step deliberate, forcing Willow to turn her head to track him. He spoke in riddles at first, referencing arrangements Drew had made, promises that had been collected, and debts that don't disappear just because the debtor changes zip codes. When Willow pressed him, visibly rattled but refusing to show fear, Sidwell leaned down, both hands flat on the conference table, his face inches from hers, and said something that turned her blood to ice. He told her that her children, were part of a landscape he'd been studying for some time. Not a direct threat, never direct with Sidwell, but unmistakable. Willow's face drained of color. Her fingers, resting on the charity documents, curled slowly into a fist beneath the table. She held his gaze. She did not flinch, and that, according to a source close to production, was a deliberate character choice. Willow has grown from a trembling survivor into a woman made of quiet steel. When Drew finally burst through the doors, evidently alerted by his assistant that something was wrong, he found Sidwell already buttoning his jacket, preparing to leave, wearing that infuriating look of a man who has already won the conversation. Drew's jaw tightened. The eye contact between the two men crackled like live wire. Sidwell nodded once, said, "Lovely meeting your colleague, Drew," and walked out without another word. The scene that followed between Drew and Willow was, in many ways, just as gripping as the confrontation itself. Drew was furious, not at Willow, but at himself. He paced. He ran a hand through his hair. He finally turned to her and admitted in carefully chosen words that Sidwell represents a threat on a level that Michael and Sonny don't fully understand yet. Willow stared at him. "Then tell them," she said simply. "Tell all of them." Drew's silence spoke volumes. Fans on social media are in absolute frenzy over what this scene signals for the weeks ahead. The prevailing theory, Sidwell has discovered something deeply damaging about Aurora's books, possibly evidence of financial maneuvers Drew made during his ELQ power struggle, and he's prepared to weaponize it. The mention of Willow's children wasn't idle intimidation. Several fan accounts are theorizing that Sidwell is positioning Willow as leverage against Michael Corinthos, knowing that attacking a Corinthos child hits harder than any boardroom maneuver ever could. The episode's final act shifted to General Hospital itself, where a shaken Willow threw herself into her work with almost manic energy, checking on patients, reorganizing supply carts, anything to keep her hands busy. It was Dr. Patrick Drake Jr., currently consulting at GH, who noticed her distraction first. "You look like someone just walked over your grave," he said, in that trademark blunt but caring style. Willow offered a tight smile and changed the subject, but the camera lingered on her face just long enough for viewers to see the calculation happening behind her eyes. She was already planning, already thinking 3 moves ahead. The episode closed on Sidwell alone in what appeared to be a private office somewhere in Port Charles, a room nobody has seen before. On his desk, a single file folder. The camera slowly pushed in. The name on the tab was partially visible. The letters readable before the screen cut to black were IL. Monday's episode of General Hospital was a brutal reminder of why this show, now in its 70th decade, still commands must-watch attention. The slow burn of Sidwell's menace, the revelation of Willow's fierce composure, and Drew's terrifying admission that he may be deeper than anyone knows, it all collided in 42 minutes of pure, addictive soap opera genius. The questions are piling up faster than answers, and that is exactly where General Hospital wants you, glued to your screen, counting the hours until Tuesday.